So yesterday, when uh, a lot of stuff happened. We're at day 7, and which is supposed to be the last day. We've met two dudes that seem to like they are copies of us, clones. Comes from a multiverse, like a parallel universe, whatever. They somehow warp into our universe, or we warp into theirs, or we overlap, or whatever. And they've pretty much told us that when we go on the bus, we'll fall asleep and then we'll wake up on the bus, like when the game started, and it starts all over again, like everlasting summer. And they don't know anything about us or whatever. Right now, they all come and say goodbye, and Lisa here is pissed at us because we didn't seem to say, couldn't you at least have said that you'll miss me? Sure, I will. Wimp. She slammed the door loudly. They're all thirsty for the main character for some reason, even though he's an asshole. Stupid. At least I didn't hear my last line, of course. What a wayward chick, huh? As good as you are. And you, in that case. Of course, keep comparing me to yourself, I remarked mischievously. But what's the difference? We're in the same situation. I've just been here a little longer. Well, in fact, a lot longer. And you've already gone completely nuts. No wonder. His hoarse laughter was really pissing me off. Listen, already told you that. Listen, have I already told you that you should be an actor? You do a brilliant Hannibal Lecter. Especially since you consider yourself a psychiatrist. I'll think about it. Well, now I must go. Maybe I'll see you again. Get lost. Yeah, let's antagonize the crazy dude. Good thinking. I turned to look at him, but the pioneer had already disappeared. Oh, fine. But nevertheless, why did he come? Might be the case that me, him, and the others like us are the only real people around here. But I desperately didn't want to believe that. All his speech seemed like some sort of a complex game. Well, even if, like, his story, his explanation is true of what is going on, that does not necessarily mean that the others are not real people. And he didn't claim that. He said, I don't consider them real people anymore. That is what he said. So, from his perspective, they don't seem real, but he never claimed that they weren't real. I don't think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like from a person in that situation, in a time loop, Groundhog Day, whatever, the people in the end will end up not seeming real, since assuming that the world is deterministic, which we kind of gotta do for a loop to be a loop, that they all would do the same things. Well, and we're the only person that can change the reality that we're in. And then we get another loop, and then what we do matters, but nothing the other ones. If we do exactly the same thing, everybody else will do exactly the same thing, assuming a deterministic universe. But if I change something, chaos theory, then everything changes, but it's just because of me. So therefore, the other people aren't really real. They're like automatons or philosophical zombies, if you like. And that's why, like, he tortured them, and the other guy who was speaking about that. But then it restarted, and it was all the same again. So of course, from his perspective, he won't consider them being real. But like, we don't know what happens after the day restarts. Is it a multiverse and they continue living their life? Like, he tortures them, and then they continue living their life with this trauma. And then a new universe is created, we don't know. So, like, from their perspective, it seems like they are not real, but that is an assumption. And going crazy like he does, he's not sure that he's not, like, from an ethical standpoint, like a consequential ethical standpoint, it's still not okay what he's doing, right? Since he's creating trauma that is possible, they might be real. That's all I'm saying. All his speech seemed like some sort of complex game. Like he's trying to give me one hint after the other, trying to lead me to something, enabling me to discover some kind of devious plot. Hints? Hasn't he been quite straightforward? I mean, I don't know. Too bad he's not really successful at that, because I'm out of ideas. Don't understand this main character. Time dragged on deceitfully slow, but it's 5 p.m. already. It's common during the summer. If no one counts the seconds and minutes, it appears that even a single hour would never end. But if one thinks about something else, then the whole day flies by quickly. That's common during summer. Yeah, that's common all the time. That's how our perspective of time works. I decided to start packing. He could leave without me. Ooh, that's interesting. Like assuming we are in a time loop. That's the way it stick around, see what happens. I quickly took all my winter stuff and shoved it into a bag. I was almost about to jump onto the bed again, but the door opened and Olga came in. Oh, I see you're packed already. That's great, let's go. I got up and reluctantly grabbed my simple luggage and followed her. I really don't care what will happen next. That is very out of character of him. I had long suspected that nothing was up to me in this world, and recent events had reinforced my complete confidence in this. What? But recent events show that everything is up to him in this world. No one else. That's what recent events told him. Maybe, well, maybe that. I don't understand. I don't understand this. What he's thinking, what he's saying. Might wake up tomorrow and yeah. Might wake up, or I might not wake up at all. I might wake up at home. There we go. On that sense, it seems like he doesn't have a choice, or any control. Choice is a bad word for it. That's all, folks. It's that simple. There's no point in staying here, and there's nowhere to run. Basically, my only exit is to leave on the bus with everyone else. Go into the unknown. That is all I've been doing for the last week, stumbling along a narrow path in pitch black darkness, unsure of where is the beginning and where is the end. We were almost approaching the gates when I heard someone calling my name. Semyon, Semyon. Okay, excuse me just a minute. Okay, but make it fast or we'll leave without you. I headed for the bushes that the voice came from. Semyon, Semyon. I waded through the thick greenery and came out on a forest path. The voice seemed to be calling from nowhere. One moment it was heard behind a tree, and now it seemed to be behind my back. Probably it's one of those aliens from the parallel worlds, but I suspected that I haven't met this exact one before. "We don't have much time," said the voice. "I'm listening. I know that you've already been contacted by him and him." "Yeah. And I know what they've told you. Don't ask me how." "Okay. But you must know one thing. The thing I know. There's more than a dozen of us here. In fact, more than 1,000. But a lot of people got out. I tried to digest what he said and phrase the right question. Then why are you here? I stayed. Why? To help others find an exit. Wow, how generous. Why should I trust you? You're the third one already. Well, in fact, I'm not even sure that you all aren't just my hallucination. That's a bad question. Like, again, antagonizing. He's getting information. Someone shows up and wants to give him the information for free. If he decides to trust him or not, that's completely Simeon's decision. It's not about trust. Yeah, exactly. Then what it's about the right choice. Consider this camp to be a giant maze. You should take a few right turns to find an exit. Okay, and how do I know which ones are the right ones? You'll know. Come with me. Where to? To the second lap. Hold on a second. That pioneer said that my second lap will start tomorrow. He lied. The speaker raised his voice. He's gone completely crazy and he's trying to destroy all the others. So if I don't go with you and leave on the bus, then I'll be destroyed, right? I don't know. Then why do you say so? Nobody ever returned after a conversation with him. So they got out? Listen, why should I trust you? Was definitely on the edge. Well, that pioneer just mocked me. Didn't seem to be a real danger. This one clearly spoke about things worth being anxious about. I couldn't decide which one I should trust. Don't trust anyone. This problem is like trying to get a blind man to say whatever the light in the room is on or off. Indeed. I can only guess, just like me. Hurry up, time is running out. Hey, wait a second, make a choice. Are you coming or not? Why do I have to come with you? Why not just say what you want to say and then I'll go back to the bus? Oh. I'm guessing following the voice gets me back to the bus and then it restarts. And here we have a disembodied voice. Hides in whatever. Doesn't show himself. Let's follow the voice. I want to know what this voice has to say. Anyway, it sounded more credible than that crazy pioneer. No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound more credible at all. Of course, this solution could be fatal, but the alternative isn't any better. They just took a shot in the dark. Yeah, that is what I did. So, okay, where are we going? We're already there. My eyesight started to fade and I felt my consciousness leaving me. Achievement unlocked. Epic fail. Simeon bad end. Also, that is the ending. Also, we just died. That was the end. Some nice music. It's alright music. Thank you and goodbye. Okay, so that took what, like 10 minutes? Was 10 minutes away from the bad ending. Alright, So we got out. I mean, we did get out. I'm guessing if we go back, it restarts, which is kind of what I want to do. So let's load this game and let's just spam through this. Now we get to make the choice, right? There's only one choice, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Speaking, I'm listening. Oh, goodness. I mean, there was an exit. I'm guessing the other guy wants to kill us too. Do not follow the orders. No, you know what? I can't believe you in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, I mean, that's not what I wanted to do. At least I've known that other guy for a little longer, and his arguments seem to be more weighty. You'll be sorry. Those words sound to me like they were coming from another world. They seem to disappear. Of course, I couldn't be sure whether my choice is the right or wrong one. It was a blind guess enforced by a time limit. Yeah, that is exactly what it was. Blind guess. Nevertheless, whether I'm right or wrong, we'll soon find out. In a couple of minutes, I was standing at the bus stop with all the other pioneers. Everybody's here? Began Olga. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you'll remember the time you've spent here for a lifetime, and that you'll retain only pleasant memories about Sobinyok. I also hope that you became at least a little bit better, managed to learn something, and found new friends. Just come back next year. The captain looked away. It was like she was trying to keep tears inside. I didn't expect her to get so emotional, although her speech sounded like a complete nonsense as usual. The pioneers started to crowd into the bus, babbling cheerfully. I decided to hold on a little and say a proper goodbye to the camp. All of a sudden, I felt a deep urge to throw a coin. Of course, there's no fountain here, and I honestly didn't feel like returning. But it's still just a superstition, and I don't believe in them. Oh, right. At least I never believed in them before. Digging through my pockets, I found only a couple of candy wrappers, a pencil, and a scrap of paper. I held them for a moment, then I squatted, put the paper on the ground, scribbled a few words. You are here for a reason. That's interesting, because I'm pretty sure that is we picked up that piece of paper when we got there and read those words. Grinning at my stupidity, I threw the scrap under the wheels of the bus and got in the cabin. I found a place in the middle. The strangest thing was that everyone said in Paris, only I was alone. However, what's the difference now? Will either disappear or will restart everything in a couple of hours? The bus was slowly moving towards the district center. The district center occasionally bouncing over the bumps in the road. It was impossible to see anything beyond the old windows and the pitch black dark of the night. In a way, I couldn't care less about the surrounding countryside. Wait, what? I just sat and waited for the inevitable. You don't know that it is inevitable. You have no idea. I would pay a lot of attention of where the bus was going. For the first time in a long while, my head was completely empty. The pioneers around me enjoyed the trip. Liana and Alisa were playing cards. Liana was writing a book. And Slavia was sleeping. Miku was trying in vain to start a conversation with Xenia, and Xenia was trying really hard to start not killing people. Electronic and Shurik were crafting something as always. I was the only one completely ignored by everyone. It might be a slightly far-fetched perception. I got used to the role of the center of the universe in the camp. I thought that everything revolved around me. You say so? Well, that might be so up to a certain degree, but here and now I'm only a foreign object, an out-of-place molecule in the harmonic pattern of crystal grid. I'm not sure how long we'd spent on the road, but sleep already started to overcome me. I was desperately fighting Morpheus, trying to stay awake as long as I could. After all, it's quite possible that today is the last day of my life. Then probably it's reasonable to cling as hard as I could to these few hours of meaningless, useless existence. However, physical fatigue and, more importantly, emotional fatigue took its toll, and I fell asleep. Day ... Sharp pain throbbed through my entire body. I felt it especially sharply in my temples. It feels like they're ready to shatter into 1,000 little pieces, giving the wind free access to my empty head. Probably I would not have been able to stand even 5 minutes of such torture if I hadn't opened my eyes in time. I was somewhere. It was impossible to tell precisely where. My mind was clouded in mist. My thoughts were confused. The moment between the unconscious and conscious states when you vividly remember your dreams. I was going somewhere by bus, and I was about to doze off when suddenly a game came up to me and began to speak quickly. Girl is that? I don't recognize her. I couldn't understand a word, but the girl looked very upset. I failed to understand what she needed from me. Time passed, and she kept talking on and on. I was getting really annoyed. I wanted to ask her to cut it out, or at least calm down a bit, but I failed. Either because I didn't manage to say anything, or because my words didn't reach her. I couldn't even see her face. I was simply listening and staring and listening. Perhaps it wasn't important for me then. Surely you would not. Try to remember what a mosquito disturbing your sleep looks like. Surely you wouldn't manage to recall the frequency of its flapping wings, or the inclination of its proboscis after that. And this girl is just one of millions of voices that disturb you from concentrating, from thinking, from falling asleep. The louder her voice grew, the harder it got to me to catch her voice. The bus cabin, the seats worn by time, the uneven floor, the rusty ceiling, the cracked glass of the widescreen, everything was floating away along with her. And then I felt a unique sense of relief. It didn't matter how real the bus and the girl had been, it was nothing but a bug to me. And here I am, hanging in total emptiness, falling inside a dream. Wow, dreams can be really something. Not quite a nightmare, yet definitely something. Not something pleasant? Oh, I didn't read it properly. I got up, rubbed my face, and got back to reality, gave a loud yawn, and prepared to clean myself up. It was a really great morning. Unable to find my hygiene kit on the nightstand, I concluded that I could manage without it. It was hard to get dressed. My hands were trembling like hell. I looked at my reflection in the mirror and checked out my 2-week stubble. Well, perhaps Olga has a razor. You remember. It was only when I went outside that I suddenly understood that I'm not in a pioneer camp. I'm back in my apartment, and I've just came out of my room into a passageway, not out of the cabin. I was overwhelmed with surprise, with dismay, with fear, and even with terror. But how? I sat down on the bed and burned my face into my hands, trying to remember the chain of yesterday's events. Yeah, the bus, the last day of the term. Yeah, I fell asleep and woke up back home. Well, to some degree, it might even seem quite logical. It seemed that the initial astonishment has worn off during the first seconds. After all, the fact that I came back like this after a week-long absence is no stranger than my sudden appearance at some pioneer camp of the 80s in the first place. Agreed. The events of the last 2 days flashed before my eyes in an instant. That mysterious pioneer, his words. But how did I manage to get back to reality then? According to him, I was gonna be stuck there forever, as there's no exit. On the other hand, I wasn't alone. That pioneer at the bus stop and the mystery voice emphasized on the contrary that exit exists. Does that mean I found it? That I managed to get out of the endless loop? But how? Nevertheless, I wasn't sure whether I should rejoice or grieve. Over the last week, I've kind of gotten used to the everlasting inner monologue, the search for answers and the in-depth analysis of everything, so I simply couldn't accept this fact as it was without figuring out what exactly happened to me. Sure, he told me that I'm the only one. Sure, he told me that I'm the only one who had observed the existence of other guys like me during their very first loop. Does that mean anything? Anyway, all his theories and ideas instantly collapsed like a house of cards. Alright, that's better. The house of cards. Now I had to decide how to react. Of course, I should rejoice. After all, I'm back in the real world. Maybe the last 7 days were just a dream. Indeed, there's absolutely no evidence that I really was there. I don't see my pioneer uniform anywhere. I look my age just as I did before. My phone is on the table fully charged. What date is it? One can't deceive one's own memory. What date is it? One can't live through such a terrifically real experiences in a dream. I still remember the events of the whole week in great detail. Perhaps I was in a coma the whole time. An ironic laugh escaped my lips. Nah, that's not an option either. And all's well that ends well? The last few hours in the camp flashed through my mind. Indeed, I was hoping to get out, either from that camp or from that reality. And I was pretty much ready to another week. And another and another and another. I'd accepted my role, I'd reconciled with my destiny. And what was I supposed to do after all the stuff that had happened? I heaved a doomed sigh, got up from my bed with considerable effort and went to my computer. That's weird, but according to it, only 14 hours have passed since my disappearance from this world. Not a whole week. Oh yeah, so he woke up, got on the bus, and then he woke up in the evening at home. A new message in the instant messenger. Hi Samin, yesterday it was legendary. See you later. My college friend, it was him who invited me. Oh, right. We went to a party that was in the evening, so we slept a full night. It was him who invited me to that party with the rest of his college friends that I was going to attend. Suddenly all my senses came back to me. The headache, the dizziness, all the symptoms of a hangover. It looks like I indeed attended that party yesterday. I was partying hard, so there was no pioneer camp. But then, where did all these memories, emotions, and feelings come from? All of this was so incomprehensible that I became enraged, began cursing foully, trying to tear my hair out, and hammering on the keyboard with my fists. I didn't return to a normal state until there were no keys left on it. Why should I care so much? Nobody worries when a dream or hallucination ends. Moreover, people are usually glad that it happens. Was I really prepared to stay there? Was I really that prepared to stay there, that my return to reality became so undesirable for me? And then a simple and obvious thought crossed my mind. Perhaps I'm just going insane. Indeed, madmen frequently have visions which they perceive as reality. Besides, I had all the symptoms of such self-insanity. I never leave the four walls of my prison. I never socialize. I have a lot of psychological problems. Well, that explains a lot. My dark, nervous laughter echoed in the room. I guess it's time for me to visit a therapist, or rather a psychiatrist, or should I just surrender myself at the asylum? Man, don't know what the difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is the doctor, right? They prescribe you medicine and whatever, while a therapist is the one you speak to, and they help you by speaking, I guess, talking. Send me on a horse, off my kingdom for a horse. I cried at the top of my lungs between the bouts of my manic laughter. Simeon, dispute not with her, she's a lunatic. The racket my neighbors made. The wall calmed me down somehow. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. If I'm tripping that bad, it looks like only a lobotomy could help me. I just sat completely freaked out for several hours, doing nothing, thinking nothing, just staring at the monitor, long since going to sleep mode. Finally, I moved the mouse and opened a few new tabs on the browser. So what's new? F5. As if the events of the past week had never happened. Come on, do you have to grieve for a hallucination? Was it real? Sure, lots of memories. Sure, looks true enough. By all means, yes. Any proof? Nope. The verdict is clear, as is my future course. Till now, I have long suspected that my current lifestyle wasn't doing me any good, huh? That's the truth. I wasn't ready for such an unusual event, but so what? I'll have to be more prepared for my next trip. Psychiatrist or therapist seems good. Night, an endless stream of threads and images took my mind of my lamentations and considerations. An instant message window popped up almost unexpectedly. Message. Hi, how are you doing? Sure, quite an original way to start a conversation. Doing fine. The contact's profile was completely empty, not even a nickname. Just a 9-digit number. You can't guess what kind of person is on the other end just by looking at a number, can you? Sure, someday it will be all different. Unified digital identifiers instead of names. A couple of symbols for a biography, several bytes of personality, 3.5 bits of feeling. Got home safely? Probably from someone from yesterday's party. Seems like it. You do remember everything I told you yesterday, right? Well, I guess not. There was yet another message after a long pause. I see. Honestly, I don't give a damn who this is and why he is messaging me. Until this unidentified individual starts harassing me, I could easily tolerate his presence in my contact list. Well, that's okay. We'll meet again. We surely will. Sure, looking forward to it, yeah. Alright, bye. I didn't reply. He's all screwed up. Why didn't you ask? Who is this? What, why? This odd screwed up day at last was slowly coming to an end. Going to bed, I yet again recalled in my head all the events that seemed so real for me. Where am I going to wake up tomorrow? If these hallucinations return, I'll probably just forget everything. Strange, but now I'm really feeling that everything happened to me now is real. There was just a fiction, game of deformed imagination, really something fantastical, and here is reality. Something inconvenient. Sometimes it unfolds differently from how your wish surprises you like this, but it's still reality. I fell asleep with those thoughts. ... Bit by bit, my life resumed its normal course, and I started to forget the events of that week. After all, nothing bad happened. Even if it was indeed real, who cares? That were only 7 days in a pioneer camp. I wasn't killed, nobody kidnapped me to conduct experiments. I wasn't brainwashed, so why do I care about the reason? And if it indeed was a hallucination, I could only hope that it won't repeat itself. Or look up like a Sunyok camp, since he's spending all of his time in front of the internet. So much information, like the people, were they real? He knew their names, he could look the people up. I was still a shut in. My computer and the internet were my only friends. The keyboard was the only communication channel connecting me to the outside world. The F5 key became the main thing in my life again. Come to think of it, it wasn't all that bad. Yet one day a familiar combination of digits popped up on the screen. That strange contact of mine has come online again. Hey, how are you doing? Doing fine. Probably I knew him from somewhere, but who cares anyway? Any news? Not really. Stability is a sign of true class? One might say so. Oh, I see. This conversation was over for me, but he didn't seem to feel like that. So nothing has changed? Nope, should it have? Well, it's not like you experience stuff like that on a day-to-day basis. Not everybody gets to experience it either. What are you talking about? Don't you get it? I was starting to. I'd prefer you explain, finally. Don't you remember the camp? It felt like an electric shock. All the events of that week immediately sprang up in my mind. My hands started to tremble. A cold sweat burst from my forehead. I turned around in horror, already imagining that I'd see aliens, ghosts, or the Grim Reaper. But there was nobody in my room except for me. As always, I ran to the corridor, checked the kitchen. I ran to the corridor, checked in the kitchen and in the bathroom. Still nobody. At last, I returned to the computer. The same message window was still flashing steadily, as if it was a perfectly ordinary message. Who are you? My hands were trembling so much I could hardly hit the right keys. Oh, so you do remember it. My hallucination seemed to be continuing. Or did I never leave the camp in the first place? Or it's just a dream after all, or I don't know what to say, I admitted sincerely. Anyhow, I felt that this entity, that's the only definition I can think of, doesn't need any kind of internet to communicate with me. Well, you can just keep silent, everything is perfectly clear. That smiley in the end of the line looks like the devil himself stretching its deformed jaws open to devour me. What is happening to me? I finally made up my mind to ask that question. Nothing at all. You're just living your regular life. But the camp, was it real? What do you think? I'm not sure. If it seemed real to you, then yes, it was real. If not, then it wasn't. It's just that simple. That's not simple at all. What will happen to me next? I whispered. Yeah, it's a good question. No, well, what will happen to him next? It's up to him, probably. Was it real? Like the question of realness, it's an interesting one. Nothing to worry about. Seems that it really hurt me without the use of the internet. Terror chained my whole body. I closed my eyes and curled myself into a ball. Wait, what are you doing this to me? I started to lose it. Words were coming out of my mouth by themselves, illogical, meaningless sets of words. Why? Why me? What for? What for? Leave me alone. I haven't done anything bad. Several minutes after, I found the courage to open one eye and take a look at the monitor. You are the reason for everything. The message window was flickering coldly. And what's next? Oh, you'll see that soon enough. Everything started fading to black in my eyes. Everything started fading to black in my eyes. Noise filled my ears, and I started to feel dizzy. I felt that my very soul was escaping its physical shell. And the events of the last few days became hazy, as if they'd all happened to someone other than me. Then the memories of the camp started to vanish, as if somebody was using an eraser to thoroughly rub out the words written with a pencil. A moment later, I felt and sensed nothing, as though I was plunged into a state of cosmic bliss. Oh. If anyone saw me at this moment, they would notice that I was smiling. Interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck here. I hit the report spam button, closed the window, switched to the browser, and glanced at the clock. Time to get going, or I'm gonna be late. Did we just restart? Achievement unlocked, forever alone. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, prologue, and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end, almost every. I remember this. Thank you for playing this game. Alright. This end was way better than the other end. So I'm guessing you could play it as a romance game or whatever, or friendship game, and you get a different ending where you probably don't stay, making it a changing experience for, yeah, look at that. So then having a 1 week fling or whatever makes him get out from his depressive state. It's like a wake-up call. And then he gets out. Well, yeah. Maybe even it changes the reality that we are in. So maybe we get to bring one of the girls back with us to the actual real world or something. Oh, so all the pictures we missed. Yeah, all of the pictures we missed. Oh, and we missed a lot of them. I wonder if you can. Where is he? I don't mind. I wonder if you can romance one of the dudes. Maybe. I didn't think I had that many choices. Oh, what's this? Yeah. All right, so let's go to the gallery. Picture, this was my favorite picture. No? There's a lot of pictures that, it's not all pictures are not here. There's a lot of pictures that just aren't here. Like, I'm pretty sure one of my favorite pictures are when we rode out to the island picking strawberries, and we saw the island and the dock. That's the one that sticks out in my mind anyway. So